and thank you very, very much indeed, Madame la Présidente, for this wonderful honour. And now I have a question. A gentleman somewhere has my notes for my speech. Where are they, please? Yes, thank you very much. Thank you so much. And will there be simultaneous translation or consecutive translation?
Or
are you happy? Do you understand Northern English? Okay. Is that okay? Okay, well, thank you. Well, again, thank you so much. And I really want to go back to 1988 and the Paralympic Games in Seoul, which was the first time that I came to Korea. I've probably been here now more than 10 times, but it was a very, very important moment in my life, because 1 year before, my wife had said to me at the European Championships in 1987 in France, when I came off court from playing for Great Britain, and I played nearly 200 times for Great Britain at wheelchair basketball. She said, "That's the first time I've seen you tired on court." And I said, "I'm retiring next year." And so I retired. My last match was played in Seoul against Spain. My first match was against Spain. And we won both of those, which I suppose was quite good. But it was in Seoul that I was elected to be chairman of the world body for wheelchair basketball. So I retired on the one hand and took up a new job on the other. So thank you, Seoul, and thank you, Korea, for that. As has been said, in December 2001, I parachuted into the IPC. I'd never been on the board of the IPC, and I was viewed as a rebel within the Paralympic movement. I was not liked by the then president, but still was able to win the election. So here I came in and people were saying, "Who's this young guy? What's he going to do?" Well, my vision was to radically change the IPC from being a disability sport organisation into being a sports organisation. So I throw out to you all this morning, try and drop the D word when you speak about great athletes, whether at the Paralympic Games or at the Olympic Games. We're not disabled. We're like all of you. We belong to the same world as you do. So let's not differentiate at all. And then just look at the positives that we have. So, what is important to the Paralympic movement? Well, of course, it's great sport. It's incredible performances, which I will talk about in a moment. But it's more than that. It's about the spirit of sport and what sport truly means to the world. Not just to Olympic champions and Paralympic champions, but to everybody who participates in sport and gets great enjoyment from it. And when was the first time I heard the word spirit of sport? Was in Kita-Kyushu City in 2002, in my final World Championships as president of IWBF, International Wheelchair Basketball Federation, when I gave a speech, an opening speech, in front of I think the Crown Prince of Japan, and I used the word spirit, you see. And afterwards, a woman wheelchair basketball player from Australia said, "I'm so happy you mentioned the word spirit." And I thought, and I've been thinking about that ever since. And more it's important to our movement. So thank you also to this lady, whose name I forget now, but who brought my attention to what was important in sport. And so the IPC and the Paralympic movement is based on people. It's not based on money. As you see, money corrupting, in some instances, the true spirit of sport. So it's based on people, on great athletes, coaches, administrators and friends. And really, I'm a bit emotional today because I learned at 4 o'clock this morning that an Argentinian man who's done so much for our movement died yesterday when he was running a marathon to raise money for charity. So that's been a bit of a shock to me. Jose Luis Campo from Argentina, but we have to live through that. So what are athlete performances? Well, just one example is the 100 meters for visually impaired women. And the winner in Sydney in 2000 was a lady from Brazil called Adria Santos, and she ran the 100 meters in 12.46 seconds. At Rio in 2016, Omara Duran of Cuba ran in 11.4 seconds. So over a second off the record in just 16 years. And that shows the increase in performance, not due to technical assistance or any equipment, just due to training and rising to what sport should all be about. In Sydney, there were 300 million cumulative TV audience. In Rio, it was 4.1 billion people. There were also 1.6 billion engaged in the Paralympic Games through social media. So what are Paralympic athletes? Well, they're fighters. They're fighters, of course, to win and to succeed, but also they have great determination and courage to achieve what they deserve in life. But you have to fight for that. Life isn't easy for anybody. And so with Paralympians, you get some great examples of people who will not agree to others saying no. And that's what I love about them. We're fighters. Hopefully, without guns, we see too many guns around the world at the moment, and we need less and less and less of that. But you have to fight for what you believe in. The vision of the IPC, which was written in 2002, is to enable para-athletes to achieve sporting excellence and inspire and excite the world. So, to enable is probably the most important part. That is, athletes do it for themselves, but we provide the stage upon which they can perform. But it's up to the athlete to do the business, not like in a charitable way, others doing it for the disabled. They do it for themselves. To achieve sporting excellence, well, you may say, well, that's pretty obvious. You know, you want to be as best as you can be. But that's everybody in the movement. That's not just the champions at the Paralympic Games. And to inspire and excite, well, before you inspire and excite, normally you're surprised. People say, wow, that's not possible. Siaman Rahman from Iran bench pressed 310 kilograms. 310 kilograms to win the gold in Rio. Our communications director says that that's the weight of a big Siberian tiger. I don't know, I've never come too close to a Siberian tiger, but it's an incredible weight. This man is so gentle when you speak to him. Even when you shake his hand's pretty big, it's bigger than mine, but he's gentle. But when he gets on that bar, it's amazing. So, you surprise, you inspire, you excite, and if you excite the world in a positive way, you can change the world. So, our aspiration, ahead of our vision now, is to make for a more inclusive society through para-sport. And it's all about defending the principles of sport. And probably the most important here, at least in the last year, has been defending the principles of fair play. I only realised about 3 months ago that July the 18th in 2016 was a very important day for the Paralympic movement. On that day, we were told there was no money to stage the Rio Games. That was only 6 weeks before the Games. And that was the organising committee saying, we spent all our money on the Olympics, there's nothing left for the Paralympics. And on that same day, the McLaren report was published with regard to the doping by the Russians. And so we had two big problems to deal with, but we had to deal with them. They went against the principles of sport and the principles of our vision. And so we had to fight for what was right, and we fought, and I think, in a way, we won it in the end. So defending the principles of sport are absolutely crucial. And before I finish, I just want to say that this spirit of sport now, this is what our sponsors want. This is what Samsung wants. This is what Toyota wants. This is what Allianz wants. And you know, some of our sponsors now, our partners, they're working together. Not on Paralympic stuff, but we brought them together in cooperation. So it's all about partnership, teamwork, and getting on together. And I just want to finish, of course, by talking about KPC and two great people here who are going to take the Korean Paralympic Committee really forward in the future. And what better opportunity than the Pyeongchang Paralympic Winter Games in March of next year. And I understand that this university is sending 1,000 volunteers to the Games. So really, congratulations to you all. Maybe some of you here will be volunteering.
서울이